Wait, what? The intro? Oh yeah, that's right. We're on hiatus. Alright, we got a break from JoJolion this month, so I thought we could take this time with no chapter to reflect on the stand we've been battling in JoJolion for the past few years now, the Wonder of You, also referred to as the Head Doctor. And yes guys, you heard that right, it has been 2 years since we started pursuing in chapter 84, which was released in March of 2019. And since then, we have slowly seen the secrets of this incredibly powerful stand begin to unravel, getting familiar with its ability, the stand user Toru, and the endless calamity our characters have been experiencing in a fight to overcome the Wonder of You, which at this point in time is still going on, although Josuke's new unique spin promises to be able to overcome and end the calamities, which we are just on the brink of seeing. But until the fight concludes, I would like to refrain from attempting to explain or analyze the Wonder of You's abilities, as there still may be more to see or further explanations by Araki. So instead, I wanted to discuss the stand's design, as not only is it an amazing design, but also rich with influence and references that have been continuing to expand as the story goes on. That gives so much more symbolism and meaning to almost every element of this arc: the visual design, the stand Wonder of You, the stand user Toru, and even the damn rock insects. But before we get into the Wonder of You, the miracle of your stand design, I would first like to thank today's video sponsor, NordVPN. With NordVPN, you can unlock more of the internet than you thought was possible while simultaneously making your browsing experience more safe and secure than ever before. No longer will your ISP be able to spy on your internet activity or take advantage of you by selling your data. You'll be protected from any nefarious ISPs or individuals through NordVPN's next generation level of encryption. And beyond just NordVPN's insane protection, you can also connect to thousands of servers in over 60 countries all over the world. So say a movie you've been wanting to see or an anime you've been waiting to binge is only available in another region. Well, in just a click of a button on the easy-to-use NordVPN map, boom, you've just teleported to any of the over 60 available countries and can stream all of that previously blocked content. Like the Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe collection that just got added to Netflix US. You can use NordVPN on your desktop, it is super minimal, takes up pretty much no resources, as well as mobile, making connecting to public Wi-Fi stress-free and safe. So take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. And right now, get a 2-year plan at a huge discount at nordvpn.com/xforwards and use code xforwards to get an additional 1 month free. It's also completely risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So again, that's nordvpn.com/xforwards to take control of your internet today, risk-free. So the Wonder of You stand design analysis. To start off, we should kick it back to the stand's first appearance in chapter 84, where we see an ominous stand body looming over our main characters in the stairwell of the TG University Hospital as we are chasing down the Head Doctor. At first glance, the Wonder of You looks like your pretty typical JoJolion stand: thin limbs, mechanical textures, and general robotic appearance. But one notable feature from the stand's first appearance that hasn't been seen since was the blade arms, which are very reminiscent of Araki's earlier work, as seen from characters Bao and Cars from Battle Tendency. So if the Wonder of You was ever unable to use its Calamity ability, it may have some offensive capabilities, or these blade arms could be part of a sub-ability that has yet to be seen. Other significant design elements are the stand's eyes resembling sunflowers, which was a motif that linked the stand to the character Toru, who would later be revealed as the stand user, and it was a fun thing the community was theorizing before the stand user was really confirmed. Since this first appearance, the Wonder of You has gone on to develop a more established design, being the stand-like face with the body and clothing of the Head Doctor, after it was learned that they are one and the same, and it's part of the stand's ability to alter its appearance to Akafu Satoru, the doctor whose identity has been stolen by Toru for an unknown period of time. And this is what I would consider the Wonder of You's true design, as it's how the stand has been presented for a majority of the time. And this recurrent design would reveal the first of the stand's major influences, being the work of the Belgian surrealist artist René Magritte, whose notable works include Not to Be Reproduced, The Son of a Man in a Bowler Hat, and Decalcomania. And within all of these images, you will notice a common subject, that of a man whose face cannot be seen, which is how Hali-san and Mamazuku had described the Head Doctor, saying the Head Doctor has no face. As well as for a long time in JoJolion, we had only ever seen the Head Doctor from the back, which was very intentional, making the characters and the readers question the true nature of this character's face, and even if they had a face. So you can see that initially the way the Wonder of You was was written as well as some of his design elements are heavily influenced visually by René's paintings. But the stand also shares a general symbolism of René's work. For example, the painting The Treachery of Images is not a faceless man, but rather a pipe, with text that reads "Susines pas un pipe," which translates to "This is not a pipe," which is very out of the ordinary for Magritte's work to have any sort of title or text within the painting. The painting is a statement on the deceptive nature of art, hence the title The Treachery of Images, and how we use language to describe what we believe to be as truths. As literally, this is not a pipe, it's merely a depiction of a pipe, so to call this a pipe would not be the truth, as in reality what is a pipe and what looks like a pipe are not the same. Provoking the question, can we really associate art or reproduction with truthfulness? This symbolism is also present within the painting Not to Be Reproduced, as what we are really seeing here is the reproduction of a man, similar to the pipe. And to go even further, there is a mirror within the image that in reality would display a reflection, so in the painting this would be the reproduction of a reflection of a reproduction of a real man, and thus separates the art so far from the truth the reproduction is unable or forbidden to be produced. Because a real man does not exist within the painting, only the reproduction of a man, which is communicated through the surreal reflection. So the way that René tells us this is not a pipe in The Treachery of Images, I believe this reflection is communicating that same message, making it obvious through the reflection that what you are looking at is not a man, merely the reproduction of a man. So to relate this concept and symbolism to the head doctor, Toru has stolen the identity of Akafu Satoru, using the wonder of view to display a reproduction, and creating a man who has no face, as described by Hali-san. So the way that this is not a pipe, merely a depiction of a pipe, this is not a face, merely a depiction of Akafu Satoru, and not the truth. And I believe Araki was recreating the symbolism of René's work through his characters and reoccurring inconsistencies of the head doctor's true face and appearance. As I'm sure you guys remember, reading this arc and watching everything unfold as it was coming out was just so bizarre, and it was so hard to make sense of anything, and usually in JoJo when something is too bizarre to make sense, it's a reference to something else, and it requires a little bit of puzzle solving to really see Araki's big picture. But continuing on, throughout the entire The Wonder of You, Miracle of Your Love arc, Araki would go on to make several other references to René's work through the stand, such as the cover of Volume 23, Chapter 96, Chapter 104, and the Ultra Jump cover of May 2020, all referencing the painting Golconda depicting nearly identical men resembling rainfall, that also happen to look like the head doctor. And in the context of JoJolion, The Wonder of You has performed various actions that resemble this painting, as well as René's surreal style in general, which isn't too different from the way Araki has always drawn his manga, as René's work has been described as nothing is as it seems, and he's an artist who looks at ordinary objects but in extraordinary ways, which reminds me a lot of Araki and how many stands are ordinary objects or things we experience in everyday life, but made extraordinary. And considering how many Magritte references we've had in JoJolion within the past few years, I think Araki's noticed his similarities with the artist as well. But continuing on, another Wonder of You design element that is also inspired by Magritte is the bowler hat worn by the stand and head doctor, which is a motif that had appeared more than 50 times within his paintings throughout his career. The bowler hat, while popular in the early 20th century, had shortly faded with the trends and became more of a symbol of Magritte's work as time passed, as in the 1920s no one looked twice at a bowler hat, but during the height of the abstract expressionist movement around the 1950s, Magritte's bowler hat began to stand out in art, almost associating the hat with the artist. Nowadays, the bowler hat is rarely seen and has become most known as a symbol for anonymity due to Magritte's Faceless Men and Golconda works, which for The Wonder of You works perfectly as a design element, as the stand is trying its best to blend in with society, not only being the stand of a rock human, but also of a stolen identity, giving the bowler hat a greater meaning considering the importance of Toru and Akafu's anonymity. Before we are properly introduced to The Wonder of You, there are a handful of chapters in JoJolion that have us chasing after the head doctor in the TG University Hospital, only being able to see the back of him, and he is seemingly impossible to catch. And our characters even say out loud, is this guy really 89 years old? We can't even catch him. But never in this sequence is the head doctor ever running or looking like he's even moving fast. He is always just out of reach. And this scene very well may have been inspired by the 1999 film The Thomas Crown Affair, which makes the symbolism of anonymity and reproduction in Magritte's paintings, specifically the son of a man, very obvious. At the climax of the film, we have the character Thomas Crown executing a heist, and he uses a bowler hat to blend in with the crowd, and it makes him impossible to catch, even though he is never running and the guards can only ever see the back of him. This scene is complemented by the paintings of Magritte's faceless man scattered throughout the museum, and just gives off heavy head doctor vibes. This may just be a coincidence, as I couldn't find any evidence of Araki ever talking about this film or referencing it before, but I would love to ask him if he's ever seen it if given the chance. We may see more Magritte references throughout JoJolion's final chapters, considering how influential his work has been for Araki lately. But for now, we can move on to the other references within The Wonder of You, and the most obvious one, the Stan's name, being an Elvis Presley song, but written slightly different with the letter U replacing the word, which is most likely a Prince reference, as Araki is a huge Prince fan, referenced him multiple times before throughout all of JoJo, and Prince would often use text talk in his song titles, like I Would Die For You, Nothing Compares To You, and You Got The Look, and a few more like that. Lyrically, the song The Wonder of You holds little significance to the stand itself, being a very cut and dry love song, only really being able to connect the way Toru had a romantic history with Yasuo. But because love songs and lyrics of that nature can be vague and interpreted in lots of different ways, you may be able to spin the lyrics to the characters, but in terms of actual influences and references, it would be pure conjecture. But when I listen to the song The Wonder of You, what sounds more important than the lyrics is the song's tone, having a very bold sound that carries a certain level of finality to it, especially in the end of the song sounding like a celebration or coup de grace, which works for being the final enemy of JoJolion. And the Elvis Presley references don't stop at just the sound of the song and the song's name, but visually, The Wonder of You's face resembles an old style microphone, specifically the one that Elvis Presley used, being the Shure Model 555, a very iconic mic that would also appear on the cover art for the 1995 release of Scatman's World by Scatman John. And the cover art for Scatman's World, although not wearing a bowling hat, does have a strong resemblance to The Wonder of You. And as we've seen recently, The Wonder of You seems to be somewhat of a Scatman himself, throwing out rock insects left and right with scat singing naming schemes, featuring songs like Da Doo 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 Da 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 by the Police and Obla Dee Obla Da by the Beatles. And for those of you that thought I just had a stroke, no, that is just scat or scat singing, vocal improvisation that it was derived from jazz with wordless vocables and nonsense syllables, which was popularized, of course, by the Scatman John Scatman, which apparently Araki has been listening to and decided to base The Wonder of You's design off of the album cover. So The Wonder of You is quite the mixed bag of references, influences from Rene Magritte to Elvis, Prince, the Beatles, and even the Scatman, that all just works to make a really amazing stand full of culture and symbolism. So I hope y'all learned something about The Wonder of You from this video, as it was a lot of fun going down the rabbit hole and seeing just how intentional almost every element of this stand was. And there's still maybe more to see in the future of JoJolion from The Wonder of You and Toru. But for now, that is my current Wonder of You stand analysis and reference rambling. And that's the video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially if you made it to the end. Please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, found it interesting, or learned something about The Wonder of You from this video. The anime style art in this video was created by Vincent Noon with permission, and the Rene Magritte redrawings with the head doctor were created by mono_art800 with permission as well. Links to both artists are down below in the description. Also down there, you will find my link to NordVPN. Shout out to NordVPN for sponsoring the video. It actually is a good service, guys. You should try it if you're looking for a VPN, as well as you'll find links to my clothing line, Break Free, that recently just launched our JoJolion themed products that people have really been loving. So head over to the shop, take a look at everything, and see if you want to pick up a shirt or a hoodie or something. Although the hoodies are out of stock, we'll be restocking those in the middle of April. Announcement will probably be in next month's JoJolion review. But for now, check out what's in stock and see if you like anything, and check out Nord and everyone else. So thank you guys so much for watching again. Love you all, and peace.